Welcome back to the Rebuild Wrench, folks. Today we're going to pull the rear wheel off the CX500, the same one we changed the fork seals on the last couple of videos. If you haven't seen them, give a little view there, and if you like them, subscribe. Anyways, we're going to pull the back wheel off, clean it up, paint it, put it back on. We took the front wheel off when we took the forks off to replace the seals, cleaned them up, and I painted the wheel up while it was off and put that back together. I'll show you that at the end of the video. Anyways, if you haven't been here before, my name's Rick, and what we try to do here on the ranch is just get you to do it. Just pick up some tools and do the job. None of it's that tough. A lot of people want some cool stuff, some modified stuff, want to repair things, want to fix things. You can do it. Just pick up the tools, give it a try. There's a million YouTube videos on how to do everything. There's manuals for anything. Online, you can fix anything. Just build some skills. Skill development is just by picking tools up and doing it. And that's what I try to encourage people to do here. Just do it. Don't let fear and common sense stop you. So if you're interested, stick around. Okay, on to the first step of this process. We have to remove the cotter pin that holds the nut on the rear axle. Get yourself a pair of needle nose or duck bills. These are duck bills, flat duck bill pliers. Needle nose work great. You can do it with a pair of side cutters. Anything that you can straighten this pin out with. Remember, when you take a cotter pin out of something, anything you're working on, don't reuse the cotter pins. I mean, if you have to on the side of the road, that's one thing. But if you're in a place where you can fix it, don't use a cotter pin twice. Okay, pins out. Then we have a 19 mil wrench to undo the nut on the back wheel. So we'll give it a little, not even too tight. Loosen it up. Open end, box end, and we loosen that up. So that's the first step. Now we go over to the other side. Okay, back around the other side now. Same thing, we need our needle nose or duck bills to pull out a couple of cotter keys here. Pull one out of this torque arm here on the rear brake disc. Not disc, drum. Pull this pin out. .12 mil box end, open end wrench. Move the bolt. I try to do this with the simplest tools we can use. I've got all sorts of ratchets, air ratchets, torque, torque tools. I got all sorts of stuff. But you know what? We can do this with pretty simple tools. Motorcycles are made to be serviced with fairly simple tools. So I just try to stay with that when we do some of these little jobs. Rubber washer and our bolt. Put those aside. 14 mil, undo our rear brake linkage. Try to get the distance the same when you put it back on. I've got about 1 wrench depth exactly of distance, and I just kind of do little things like that to remember where it is. If I needed to really do it, I could mark it with a felt pen, but I know on my 14 mil wrench, 1 wrench depth, 1 wrench length depth, woo, it's hard to say, will suffice for setting it up again. Then I put that nut right back on there so we don't lose it. Okay. 12 mil again to undo our pinch bolt on our axle. When we get this all apart, well, I've got it off, cleaning up the back wheel, painting it, and I'm going to paint the brake drum. I'm going to paint this black, all this black, and the drive on the far side black as well. And then I'll clean this swing arm and paint it as well. These are my new shocks, not completely installed. As you might be able to tell, I can't tell in the video if you can see that. This isn't properly installed yet, but it's just there to hold everything in place while I pull the back wheel off. Okay, so that's loose. We've got a nut off the other side. Just have to knock the axle through with a mallet from the other side. Stand by and I'll get that. Okay, back with the mallet, and we'll see if we can knock this through. See how good it is, how loose it is. Here we go. Not as loose as I'd hoped it would be. I'll get a, oh, hang on. No. I'll just get a drift to knock that through there. Stand by again. There we go. Just have a small piece of old brass I use for a drift so it doesn't damage anything. Swapped out the rubber mallet for a ball peen, and we'll knock this shaft out. Support the wheel, pull it out. Now we have to move the wheel off of the drive, so towards the camera. There we go. Let's see if we can get it around the drive. Spacer came out, that's good. There we go. Move the handle of the hammer. And I've heard it helps to deflate the tire a little to get it out past the drive, but the manual doesn't say to do so. So I'm just going to see if I can do it, and if not, we'll let a little air out of the tire. Now, looks like we're going to have to let some air out. So, stand by a second here, we'll let some air out of the tire. There we go. Let a little air out and voila. So there's the wheel removed from the bike now. I'll take it, pressure wash it, clean it all off, get it ready to paint, and when we do that, I'll show you how you mask off the tire so you don't paint the tire. You don't have to take the tire off the rim. We can do this quite easily. Or it's just going to be a rattle can paint job for now. As I said, this whole bike's going to be a major restoration, rebuild, cafe racer or scrambler, not positive which yet, but there'll be a lot of work done on this in the next series of videos. But this is just to get this thing running for the summer and have some fun. So give me some time, clean this up, and we'll get back on it and show you how we paint this up and put it back on the bike. Stand by. This is the method that I've found the best for taping off a wheel with a tire still on it. Take your masking tape, tear it off into small pieces so you can maneuver it around the perimeter of the wheel easily. Wiggle it right in under the edge of the wheel, press it down nice and tight. You go around the whole wheel. Then on the outside, use 3-inch masking tape, mask off the rest of the tire so you don't get any paint on your tires. That's it. Keep watching. Okay, as usual, the battery ran dead while I was putting the tape on. Anyways, as you can see, I've got I put the masking tape, the narrow masking tape around the edge, very tight to under the edge of the rim actually. Pushed it under there and tightened it down. Now I've got the wider masking tape all stuck down, and it's nice and tight. A couple of layers of that. It didn't take more than about 20 minutes to do the whole thing, so not a big deal. Use a little bit of tape, but at least you don't get any paint on your wheels. So I'll set up here, shoot some paint on it, and then we'll let her dry tonight and put her together tomorrow. This is just a thin coat of self-etching prime. I put on the bare aluminum where I cleaned it off. The rest of the paint that's underneath there, we'll just overspray that. We'll get it all later on the big rebuild. If you're using self-etching prime, remember super thin, super light. Very thin coat's all you need for self-etching prime. Well, that'll dry for now. I'll sand it up tomorrow once it dries and give it another little bit, get some of the dust and junk out of it. Remember, this is a backyard paint job. I won't be on here more than a few months, and we'll take these all apart and do a real good job on them. Anyways, thanks for watching, and we'll check in with you tomorrow when we put it back together. Well, I learned something today. As I told you yesterday, painted these wheels, and then today I said I'd come out and check them out, give them a little bit of a scuff if they had some dust, and recoat them. Well, here we go. I did. A little Scotch-Brite, cleaned them up, went to give them another shot, and look what happens to the paint. This was about 18 hours after the original paint job. So then I read the can a little more thoroughly, and it said, well, as you can read on the can, it says for additional coats after 2 hours, wait 48 hours for paint to cure. So I painted a lot of different things, a lot of different kinds of paint, epoxies and acrylics and enamels, all sorts of things. Anyways, normally if you paint enamel paint and then top coat with a lacquer-based paint, it might bite into the enamel. In this case, same can of paint exactly that I used to paint the wheel. I just didn't wait the 48 hours for it to cure, so it bit into the top coat. So anyways, here's a couple of pictures of the front wheel and forks and fender that I painted earlier while I had the forks off. And so this is what it's going to look like. It's actually a charcoal, bit of light, it's hard to tell. That's not as heavy metal flake as it looks, but it's charcoal, fender's tank, and valve covers, and then black, gloss black on the wheels, and flat black on the frame. You'll see more of it as it goes. If you liked it, subscribe. Thanks very much.